What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Motorola Edge 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the new Motorola Edge 2025. Now this device was launched in June of this year, and as the name of the phone does imply, it is the successor to last year's Motorola Edge 2024. Now I have already compared this phone to that phone in a separate video, so if you are really curious to know in depth the differences between those two devices, then definitely take a look at that content. But one thing's for sure, this phone's building on a really strong foundation. The predecessor was excellent, this phone is even a better version of that, and this phone has really given us a ton of features, and in many ways, this device feels like a flagship smartphone. Now the best part about it is, you can pick this phone up for a very affordable price. Now originally, when the phone launched just a few months ago, it was featuring a full MSRP of $550. However, many places right now seem to be offering the phone for $100 off, and if you want to buy the phone directly through a carrier, then you might even be able to get it for free. For example, over at Metro by T-Mobile, you can get the phone for free if you're switching in from another carrier, and this specific device is a regular T-Mobile model of the phone, and I actually bought it on eBay as a sealed, good-to-go device ready to be activated on T-Mobile for just $288. So if you're paying $550 for this device, then you're certainly overpaying because there are some really good deals out there to be had. Now previously with the predecessor to this phone, similar offers were available, and that is one of the reasons, not to mention that it's a good phone, why it did sell so well. So I'm definitely expecting the Motorola Edge 2025 to be equally or more successful. Now before I get too far into things here with the device, I do want to show you what comes included in the box. Now, as you can see on the box, it does indeed say 2025. This is the 2025 model of the phone, and it is a slim box because there is no USB wall adapter included. But we are getting a quick start guide, we're getting a SIM card removal tool, and then we're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now, with this device, we are getting support for up to 68-watt fast charging, which 68 watts is extremely fast. That's an awesome feature to see here, but keep in mind, if you want to get the full 68 watts, you are going to have to use a power adapter with this cable or a similar cable that can actually deliver on that. Your typical USB-C wall adapter probably isn't capable of 68 watts. The one that maybe comes with your laptop, maybe you're using a MacBook Pro, that one can certainly deliver power at pretty much that level. But I would definitely make sure to find a full 68 watt fast charger, or maybe one that's rated for even higher than that, so you can actually recharge this device as quickly as you potentially can, because that's certainly a really strong selling point of this phone. Now with the Motorola Edge 2025, we're getting a very large 6.7 inch display. So this phone is not small by any means. Now, this big display panel definitely makes the device excellent for watching content, whether it's video content, going on social media, browsing the web, really anything is great on this big display panel. Also, in addition to that, we're getting Corning Gorilla Glass 7i here on the device, so that makes the glass here on the phone extra durable. So if you do happen to drop the phone, it is very unlikely that you are going to actually have some significant damage to it. Of course, don't do that on purpose, but it is good to know that we are getting quality materials here with the Motorola Edge 2025. Now we are getting a curved display here on the phone, and compared to last year's model, which also had a curved display, there is even more of a curve here. So I personally don't mind that. The curve is purely aesthetic. It's not like you can really do much with it. If this is something that you don't like, maybe you know for sure you want a phone with a flat display, then you're definitely not getting that here. Now in exchange for that, we are getting a very good screen-to-body ratio of 92%, and you probably noticed already that this phone has very small bezels. It's a very sleek phone, it looks really nice and stylish, and I do feel like this curved display kind of does add to that effect. Now this display is POLED, so we're getting excellent colors, really good viewing angles as well. It does feature a 120Hz refresh rate, so a super fast and smooth refresh rate, which is another premium feature. And then we're getting a PPI of 444, with this being a 1080p display. So overall, when it comes to the display of the device, which is certainly a very important aspect, they did a great job with that. Now up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 50 megapixels. Now stay tuned for a little bit later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a bunch of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the device. But the cameras are certainly a strong point. Now another awesome thing about this phone is that we're getting 256 gigabytes of storage, but there is no microSD card expansion. So if you are someone who likes to put a microSD card in your device, then just know that you're not getting that feature here, but at least we are getting a lot of internal space at 256 gigs. Now, in previous videos I made about this phone, I already mentioned this example, but the brand new Google Pixel 10 Pro actually starts at 128 gigabytes. So this phone is pretty much half the price of that, if not less, but we're getting double the amount of internal storage here. So I think that's just another example of how much value we really are getting here with the Motorola Edge 2025. Another awesome thing about this device is that we are getting wireless charging at 15 watts. So you can put the phone on a wireless charger and you'll have no issues at all charging the device because that feature is present here. Also with the phone, we're getting an in-display fingerprint sensor and it's nice and fast and responsive. I'll try that one more time. So that works really well. And then we're also getting face unlock up top with the front-facing camera. So I do appreciate that we have multiple methods here for getting into the device. Now on the back of the phone, we're getting a triple camera setup. And one of the new features this year is that we're actually getting a telephoto camera. So we're getting a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. So that is a full 3x optical zoom, which is a really awesome feature that's certainly not a gimmick. So I'm really glad to see that. And then we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera and a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images up to 122 degrees. Now here's how things look at the main camera. Then from there, you can go over to 0.5 for the ultra wide camera. So with that, you can fit a lot more content into a single frame. And then the new feature is you can see right there 3. If you tap on that, it now takes us over to that telephoto camera. So you're able to zoom in quite a bit there thanks to that feature. Now we're also getting portrait mode. We can also adjust different portrait mode modes. So there's 24mm, 35, 50, 85. So lots of options. Then flipping around here to the front-facing camera, there's me right there. We have an option for group selfies, which is awesome. Then over here on Pro, there's a bunch of different features. And then under the More tab, we've got even more features as well. So definitely a lot of abilities when it comes to the cameras here on this device. But let's now take a look at some photo samples from the Motorola Edge 2025. Now I was able to take some great looking images with the Motorola Edge 2025. Now by no means is the camera quality here at a flagship level, but for this phone being a mid-range phone and honestly priced more like a budget smartphone, I'm really happy with the results. You can definitely take this phone with you on a trip and you'll know that you'll have great looking images to look back on. And you really don't have to put a lot of effort in either. It's very intuitive. Your photos typically look good as long as you're trying to take a half decent photo. So the device definitely has a lot of AI and image processing here to assist with that. But just know that if you are looking for a phone with a reliable camera system, you are getting that here with the Motorola Edge 2025. Now that telephoto camera is also no gimmick. It does work really well. So I did use that several times. And the results were totally fine and what I'd expect to see from a phone with that feature. And then having the ultra wide is always a nice thing as well. I especially like the ultra wide when I'm in big cities. I want to take photos of large buildings. It's great for that. So it's really great for any situation. So in general, I would give the cameras here for this device a thumbs up. And let's take a look at some video samples from the Motorola Edge 2025. What's going on everyone? This is Kevin here coming at you with a 4K front-facing test video from the Motorola Edge 2025. Definitely curious to know what you think about the video and audio quality from this test. And here's a 4K test video using the main rear camera on the Motorola Edge 2025. Now if you do hear a buzzing sound, that is because my air conditioner is very close by and it's a hot summer day, so that's running quite a bit. We have really good autofocus in video mode, which is great. And here's a 4K test video using the 3x telephoto camera. Now one thing I noticed is that you cannot switch between the various cameras on this device in video mode in the same video clip. So you do have to stop the video and then start it once again. Not necessarily that big of a deal, I suppose, but something to keep in mind. But this is with the 3x telephoto camera right now. And here's a 4K test video using the ultra-wide camera with the Motorola Edge 2025. So same thing here, you cannot switch between any of the cameras from one to the other. You can't go from the main camera to the ultra-wide in the same video clip. But at least we can still take nice looking video with the various cameras here on the phone. Now internally here with this device, we're getting 8 GB of RAM paired up with the MediaTek Dimensity 7400 Ultra processor. Now that processor by no means is a high-end flagship processor like the Snapdragon 8 Elite, but at the same time it's a pretty solid processor for a mid-range smartphone. Now I am a big fan of MediaTek. I have done work with them directly. I've also worked with Snapdragon on certain projects as well. MediaTek is a great brand and they also make really high quality processors. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6 and here are the scores that I got from that test. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Motorola Edge 2025 measures up. But in general, I am very happy with the performance of this device. I would say for most people, the phone is plenty fast, nothing to be concerned about. Even if you want to play some games on here as well, it's totally good for that too. And another thing I like about the processor is that when it is in full power here, the phone doesn't necessarily even heat up or have any slowdown issues at all. So for a phone that's a mid-ranger, that's especially impressive, and you don't always see that. Now with the Motorola Edge 2025, we're getting a 5200 mAh internal battery, and like I mentioned before, we're also getting 68 watt fast charging. So that fast charging is super helpful. I'm a big fan of that feature. And then also having that massive battery at 5200 mAh is a great thing as well. So I feel like it's a great combination having really fast charging, but then also a really big battery, because not only are you getting a big battery, but you don't have to wait too long to recharge that battery. Now with this device, we are getting Android 15, and in many ways, I like Motorola's implementation of the software. They have made changes where it matters, but at the same time, they're not totally reinventing things for no reason. And then with this device, we're getting NFC, so you can use it for tap and pay. We're also getting stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos, and we're also getting this vegan leather material on the back of the device and an aluminum frame. But this vegan leather material is a great thing. We did have this on the predecessor as well, and it makes sense why Motorola carried it over to the Edge 2025. It's nice and durable. The phone actually stays in your hand. It doesn't feel like the phone's gonna fall out of your hand, which is not always the case either. And then unlike phones with a glossy back, you just don't see fingerprints on this phone. So you can use the phone all day and it's not covered in fingerprints, which is always very refreshing. But on the right side of the phone, we have volume up and volume down. We also have the power button right here. Then on the left side here, we have this multi-purpose button. So you can actually customize this button to activate a bunch of different tasks on the phone. We have a microphone here. We have another microphone up top. On the bottom of the phone, we have the main microphone, SIM card slot, USB-C port, and then the main speaker. And then on the back of the phone, we've got the camera module, flash, Motorola logo, and that's pretty much it. To Ultra Human Direct. Now you might be concerned about the fit of the ring. Now video quality is excellent here on the device. It's a great phone for watching YouTube, that's for sure. And also having the stereo sound here with the phone really does make a difference. It makes the phone feel very immersive when watching video. So I just love how big this display is. The colors look excellent. And seriously, it's just a great phone if you just want to sit back, relax, and watch some videos. So in conclusion, I'm really liking the Motorola Edge 2025. I feel like this phone is super capable. Of course, it is a mid-range device, but like I mentioned, most people are paying pretty much budget prices for this phone. So it makes no sense why in previous years, the Motorola Edge has been very successful, at least in the United States, and I'm definitely expecting it to be the same way here with the Motorola Edge 2025. So I definitely recommend getting this phone if you're not looking to spend too much money, but at the same time you want a very capable smartphone, and I think you will be very happy with it. But I hope you enjoyed this video about the Motorola Edge 2025. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.